Chris Gray. I've come over to his house for a bit of lunch, and I thought I'd grab him for a few minutes just to see his latest view on the property market. As you may or may not be aware, Chris runs Empire, helping time-poor professionals build their own property portfolios, and is also an expert on Sky Business News and other media channels. So it's a good opportunity to see the latest in the market. We're all aware of lots happening, lots of conjecture, interest rates coming down, we've got first home buyers market. But let's hear from someone who's really close to the market what their view is. So Chris, what's your general view of the Australian property market at the moment?
Yeah, I guess there's not just one market, so it's hard to have a comment to say, look, this is what's happening. I guess at the moment, if you're in the right kind of property, then things are really good, and if you're in the wrong property, then yeah, you're kind of suffering. So as a generalisation, what I'd say is that if you bought kind of 5 to 15Ks from the city, you bought a median price property, so around 500 or 600 grand, and your tenants or potential people you can sell the property to are kind of young professionals with a lot of cash. Most of them have still got jobs, and so that market's really solid. So I buy a lot in the Sydney eastern suburbs and Lower North Shore, and to try and find a property around 500 or 700 grand is really hard. People aren't desperate to sell, so there's not a lot on the market. And for the ones that are up for sale, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of people that want to buy those things. So quite often you might get a valuation of 600, it could go for 625 or 650. Right. So really strong market, and it's probably the last drop in a recession, and it's the first to recover. So if you're in that kind of property, it should be really good. Interest rates are low, your rents are really high, so it could even be positive cash flow as well.
So are you seeing actual capital growth at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are kind of growing. A lot of those, look, you could get 600 one day, 625 the next, so it can be slightly volatile. But no, generally it is good. Yeah. And we're doing a lot of renovation, so we're adding value straight away. Yeah. But if you're in then, say, kind of further out of town, it just depends on that particular suburb if things are going on. So in some of these new suburbs where there's 1,000 houses, they all look exactly the same, then, and this could be any parts of Australia, then look, that'll be a lot tougher. Just because there's nothing unique about the property and there's no limit of supply, there's lots of other people that would sell. Yeah. Which is why, like, if you're in a CBD as well, in a block of 1,000 units in a tower, then that could be up and down as well.
And what's your view of, is it a good time to buy now? I mean, some people say go to market because it's good to get deals. What's your view?
Yeah, look, we're really strong at buying. We've got a lot of clients coming on that are buying. People that are cashed up, it's a great time to buy because interest rates are so low, rents are fairly high, but it's not that short-term game, it's the next 10, 20, 30 years that really make the difference. So we're all about long-term investing. Yeah. And so, yeah, a lot of people are confident. A lot of people think Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, look, they are going to go. A lot of people see the gap between Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane is pretty tight, and Sydney's always been at a premium, so they reckon Sydney's generally going to go fairly hard.
So you'd go Sydney versus Melbourne and Brisbane at this stage?
Yeah, we're looking at Melbourne as well, so we'll probably buy Sydney, Melbourne, and getting into those nice 5 to 15Ks is pretty cool, I think.
And medium value 500, would you still be going to the 500, 700 even though it's quite competitive at the moment?
Yeah, so even with the first home buyers, look, sometimes it will inflate prices, yeah. But if you do your research well and know the price and walk away from it if it gets too high, there's still deals to be done out there. So I don't think the first home buyers has really pushed it too much, but in some areas it might have done, so a lot of it's media driven. But I think people like B.I. Shrapnel were suggesting that I think the property market will grow about 19%, or Sydney will grow 19% in the next 3 years. Right. 5 or 6% growth is cool. Because what it means is some of those outer suburbs might grow at 5 or 6, or even less than that, and so some of the better suburbs might grow at 10. Yeah. So to get a net average of 5 or 6 is generally pretty good. I mean, the other market to be careful of is kind of $1 million plus, especially as you get to kind of 2 or 3 million. Then a lot of areas around the country are really suffering because people in jobs that are earning $500,000, they're going to be worried about their jobs. Yeah. And so people aren't buying those things. And so there's a lot of suburbs where literally the whole suburb is for sale and you could be down 40, 50%.
That's significant.
Yeah, so the main thing is, like with anything with property, you've got to hold on to it. So you've got to be cash flowed to be able to hold on to it.
And an interesting question, because this is a personal one, but how are you finding the banks at the moment? We're seeing a lot of pressure on the banks. How are you finding them in terms of giving finance to people, etc.?
Yeah, they're not too bad. They're taking a long time. Yeah. So a lot of people are complaining that it's taking maybe 2 or 3 months even to get finance. And the banks are focusing on clients that have already put their name on a contract. So if you're just trying to get a general pre-approval, you get pushed to the back of the queue.
Okay.
I think it's really two reasons, mainly because there's a lot of first home buyers around, so there's a lot of activity,
Yeah.
but also credit's getting involved more now, and so they're checking deals with a lot more scrutiny, and so that's kind of delaying things.
So
Yeah.
full doc loans okay, low doc loans, no
Yeah,
doc loans?
I haven't refinanced a lot of my stuff for probably about 6 months or so, so I'm not exactly sure how the low doc market is, but I think you can still get kind of 70%, 80% maybe a bit tougher.
Yeah.
But definitely if you're full doc, then banks are still lending money, they've still got to do business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, short and sweet today, but we'll continue to do these property updates as the market changes. I'm just changing very quickly, so thank you, Chris.
Pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that short clip.